So we have begun a sermon series called Can We Coexist? And this came out of some conversations that I have had with you and you have had with one another, that we live in a time, in a culture, where the people that we work with 10, 20 years ago, we could assume that they were Christian, that they understood who Jesus was and who God is. And we don't live in that culture any longer. The world has gotten much smaller, has it not? And so many of you work with perhaps someone who practices the Muslim faith. Maybe you work with a Hindu, or you're living beside someone who practices another religion other than Christianity. And so the question that we started to ask is, how do we relate to people that are outside of our faith beliefs? How do we maintain a friendship and a relationship with them? How do we not judge them? But at the same time, how do we not dilute what we believe in order to be in relationship with them? And if you have been in this kind of relationship, you understand the tension. You understand the tension that you live with in being respectful, hopefully very respectful of what they believe in, but at the same time, not watering down what you believe in. We believe in Christianity, we believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and that no one comes to the Father but through Jesus. There are world religions who do not believe that. And so as we went to Haiti, we were certain, because of my experience actually, when I went to Haiti before, that I was in a very remote village of Bayané. And when we went to bed at night, the drums began, because Haiti has its roots in paganism, and specifically in voodooism. It came over from West Africa, and so paganism is the belief that you worship many gods. It's not atheism, in which you believe there is no God. Paganism is there's many, many gods, and so there's a god of fertility, and there's a god of agriculture, and there's just gods for everything. And so the drums would begin. And in Haiti, that meant that the witch doctors were calling the worshipers together because their worship happened at night. And so we would hear these drums, and we got an education. And one night when I was in Bayané, and they all came down from the mountains into this village for worship, which was actually a 4-hour worship, just saying. And they walked about 4 hours to that worship, just saying. And I was able to preach with an interpreter. Now, this just blew my mind because I didn't understand it until after it was over. And so I'm preaching and I'm offering the gospel, and I'm saying that Jesus is the way and the truth and life. And this big man, this big black man came up, and he laid this red silk scarf on this makeshift table that we had that had other things on it. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Well, whatever. And so I didn't understand what was going on, and I finished up. But there was a lot of frenzy within this. There must have been 500-600 people there. And I could sense a frenzy, but not understanding it. And so afterwards, I turned to the pastor who was interpreting, and I'm like, what just happened? Because he was notably excited. And he said, oh my gosh, you just have to hear this. And I'm like, well, what? And he said, that was a witch doctor. And the witch doctor has a symbol that they carry, a red scarf with them. And that's kind of their Bible. As we carry our Bibles or we wear our crosses, that's their cross. And he surrendered his trade tonight. He literally laid it down and he surrendered it. And of course, I was speechless. And he said, and I said, that's wonderful that, someone has come to Christ. That, how great God is. And he said, no, that's not what we're so excited about. That's incredible unto itself. But you have to understand, when a witch doctor surrenders his trade, he owns the whole village that he lives in. He is like the king of that village. And so when he surrenders his trade, the whole village follows. And so not only did that one man come to Christ, but a whole village was going to come to Christ because of what that one man did. And so it was just incredible to see. After the earthquake in Haiti, Christ just reigned by the kindness of Christians, of Christ followers that came in and they helped, and all the influence. Paganism is just not really seen so much. Now, remote villages, there's still that sense, but people in Haiti love Jesus. They have tap-taps, which are our taxis, but they don't look anything like our taxis. We have a whole bunch of pictures that we'll share with you at some point. These tap-taps are like old beat-up trucks, and they just hang on them all over the place. They ride on the top, and oh my gosh, it's scary. It's just terrible. But it's just incredible that on the tap-taps, they will say, Jesus reigns. Like every tap-tap has Jesus' name on it. And so it sunk my sermon, because I went thinking that I would come home with a lot of experience about paganism. And so much so, our interpreter, we went for a walk. We look like, they call us Blancs, which is white people. And so we look like the Blanc train walking through the streets of Haiti. And you don't walk through the streets because the traffic's so horrible, and you don't walk through the sidewalks because the sidewalks are like this. And so, here we were, the Blancs going through Haiti. And we got to this one thing, and it looked like a lotto, I think was the name in Haiti. And I said, is that a bank? And they said, no, it's not a bank. It's like your lottery. And I'm like, oh, well, is it like national? And they said, no, it's individual. So, they just have these lotteries, and you go in, and I guess, there's numbers 1 to so many, and then you win something. But he said, but we don't go there. Only pagans go there. We don't do that as Christ followers. And I thought, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that an incredible witness? So I have asked the team to give you a flavor of how Christianity has really infiltrated Haiti, and how honestly, and this is going to be your challenge, how honestly, after being in Haiti now for the second time, I believe that perhaps Haiti is more Christian than this nation. And so I'm going to ask the team to come forward, but before, I need to read you this scripture, and that is that Paul in Acts was going around church to church, because that was the mission. Remember that the command was to go into all the nations and to baptize in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and to offer Christ. And so Paul was doing this, and he would go out, but he also had to go into communities that didn't understand Jesus. And so this is just a beautiful scripture of the mindset he had, and it really became the mindset for our team, because we were there to proclaim Jesus, but first and foremost, we were there to listen and to be respectful and to understand the needs of Haiti. And well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So it's Acts 19. Your scripture is incorrect, and that's my fault. Acts 19, it starts in verse 24. And I just want you to listen to what Paul and how he kind of dealt with offering Christ. It says here, as he was in Ephesus, it starts in 24, that, where am I? At the same time, there was a great disturbance that erupted about the way. There was a silversmith named Demetrius. He made silver models of Artemis's temple, and his business generated a lot of profit for the craftspeople. He called a meeting with these craftspeople and others working in related trades and says, friends, you know that we make an easy living from this business. But you can see and hear that this Paul has convinced and misled a lot of people, not only in Ephesus, but also throughout most of the province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands aren't really gods. This poses a danger, not only by discrediting our trade, but also by completely dishonoring the great goddess Artemis. The whole province of Asia, indeed, the entire civilized world, worships her, but her splendor will soon be extinguished. The whole city was into turmoil. What we find as you continue reading is that Paul listened and he understood. It really gives us a model in the sense that if we're going to live and work and relate to folks that are other beliefs than we are, then we have to listen and be respectful. But Paul had to know what it was that they believed in. He had to understand if you're going to be in relationship with a Muslim, then get to know what they believe so that you can understand and have a context of conversation. And then Paul built bridges. He was able to understand both what they believed, but then also understand what the gospel says. And then he was able to encourage the other followers to be able to say, and this is one of the reasons for this sermon series, is that you can also know how to stand for your faith, be respectful, and then also to stand for your faith and have a beautiful, holy dialogue so that you could share Christ. And so I'm going to ask that we start out with, I think, is Lainey in the house? No, okay. We really got home late. And so I want you to know what it was that we did when we got to Haiti, because we had a purpose. And so Megan's going to come up and help us to understand basically what the work entailed in Haiti, because we went there for a specific reason, and that was to build. They're still dealing with the earthquake, and so we had hoped to make a difference spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And boy, can she work.
Okay, so we were.
It is on.
Yeah. Hi. Okay.
There you go.
So we were staying in this place. It was kind of like almost like they called it a campus. It was just kind of like a mini community. They had a lot of different things there. There was the guest house. There was a church there, and there was also some other houses like where pastors would stay, and a couple of other people that worked in that vicinity. And where we mainly worked was they had a Christian school there, and they were trying to, I think, rebuild a second floor. So our first day, we were just breaking up concrete on a roof, like the whole day, just breaking up concrete and hauling it off the roof. So that was kind of, at least to me, the hardest day. But they actually expected us to take 2 or 3 days to do it, and we ended up doing it in 5 or 6 hours. So that was kind of cool. And then the second day, they didn't even really have any work for us prepared because of that. But we started instead hauling sand and some gravel and some other things, getting it to another location and putting it together so that they could mix it into cement to start building the roof. I'm sorry, not the roof, the walls on the second floor. So we did that for a little while, and it was kind of cool that we didn't have work. Like, it would have been nice to have worked more, but at the same time it gave us an opportunity to do more outreach to the Haitians in general, which I really liked. So then on Wednesday we went to Firsty, which I think somebody else is going to be telling you about, which was more outreach basically. And then on Thursday, we continued to haul water and sand and everything like that, and that was kind of our Thursday and Friday. What a lot of people don't realize, because the earthquake was years ago, a lot of people think that the damage is mostly repaired. Like, they have swept it under the rug, kind of not thinking that it's there anymore. But I remember, like, as we went on that walk, we all took that group tour, and our guide was pointing out all this damage that was still around. There was like rubble everywhere, and it's just kind of, it was eye-opening to see everything that still needed to be done there. So that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. So can you explain how we lugged water up to a second story? 16 of us?
Yeah. There's, what is it called, a cistern?
Cistern.
Okay, so they had a cistern on this like basketball or soccer court or whatever. There were kids who would just come and play on the court. But it was in there, and then you had to go through a path and up some stairs and then around up a ladder onto the roof. So we basically just had a chain of people like passing the water, like 25-gallon buckets of water, just passing it along and then getting up the roof, and it was like, I don't know, it was a little scary sometimes. I thought I was going to drop stuff. But yeah, it was really neat getting to work together with that, because I know at first we started just taking it the whole way ourselves, and then we started the chain, and it was cool to see like how working together in that way made a huge difference. So,
thank you, Meg. So basically, we did a lot of grunt work. The block builders were Haitian, and so Again, we're learning a little bit about mission work. When we first started, excuse me, when we first started going to Haiti, we actually wanted to do the work, and we kind of put the Haitians aside, and we found out that that was not honorable to the Haitians, and so now we're working alongside of them. And so they were actually putting the blocks and the cement together, and we were the ones down getting the stones and the sand hours after hours after hours after hours, and hoofing them up a ladder up on there so that they were ready to work. It was incredible work. It was humbling work. The one day that Megan said they just didn't know what to do with us because we're Americans, and this team just didn't know how to rest. And so a couple of us went for a walk, and we took trash bags are so coveted, but we begged the kitchen staff if we had a trash bag, we'd bring it back because there's litter all over the place. And there's a reason for that. It's not because they don't care, but they have no place to go with their waste. And so, you lay it on the ground because what else are you going to do? You don't find a trash can easily in Haiti. And that's all through Port-au-Prince. The litter is just incredible. When you see the pictures, it's just like so sad. And so we start picking up litter. And there was a gentleman who was up on the second story, and evidently he was watching Lainey, Aaron's daughter, and watching us pick up litter. And he said to himself, I need to go down and I need to help. And we just thought we were, no one was watching, but someone was watching. And so he came down. Well, he ended up being a doctor. And so he started telling us his story that he was going in the remote villages. And he said he had a call in his life. He was Haitian, but he has family in Florida. And he had gone back to Florida, and then he wanted to come back to Haiti again because he wants to go back out in the villages. He wants to gather up as much medicine to make a difference because healthcare in Haiti is just an incredible, incredible problem. If you have cancer in Haiti, you have a death sentence. There's no chemo that you could ever have in the nation of Haiti. It's not going to happen. Childbirth, I held our brand new baby, Ava, Becky's great-granddaughter, and she was born C-section. And I said to Becky, it just was a stark reminder that in Haiti, a cesarean section probably would not live. There are no hospitals like we know them. There are clinics, and there's really nothing to be done. And so he's telling us this story, and he said to me, he said, I want to go, but he said, my family has said to me they want me back in Florida, and they're very, very angry with me. And he said, but I have to answer God's call on my life. And he said, that means that I am going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my family. And I was reminded that Jesus said, unless you're willing to walk away from your family, from all those things that hold you, and come and follow me, because that's the kingdom of heaven. And so we prayed. We left him. He asked if we would pray over him. And so this 14-year-old and I just put our hands over him and prayed over him. It will affect Lainey's life for the rest of her life that she was part of that. And then once we got back to camp and we were telling people, then everyone started putting their heads together and said, look, we brought medicine. We brought Imodium. We brought kaopectate. We brought Cipro. We have medicine. Let's just gather up. It was gathering the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. Let's just gather what we have. And I said, I don't know if we can ever find him again. And they said, well, let's just pray we do. And so they gathered everything up, and we started praying that we'd find him. And we did find him. And we were able to give him a prayer blanket and pray over him and give him that medicine. It was just wonderful. So on our day that we really didn't know what to do with ourselves, we have an American couple who was down there at the same time, and they were just wonderful resource people, and they are missionaries to a very remote village called Fursi. And so they offered to take us to Fursi. And Andrea's going to come and tell you about Fursi and what happened there. So come on up, Andrea. We had gathered your toys. You had brought us things to take, and so we had yo-yos and jacks and all kinds of wonderful things. We went to Mission Central, and remember at Bible school, you ladies make the school kits and the bags. There was actually a bag that I recognized was our material. So Sue, that was really cool to see that. We took 100 school kits with us, and then we had an athletic director that gave us soccer balls and candy. Sam's has these great big bags of candy, and so we took candy and Dum Dum lollipops. So tell us about Fursi, because it was just an incredible. And this is Andrea. I'm sorry.
Hi.
If you don't know Andrea, this is Andrea. Andrea is a longtime friend of our family, and she has begun coming here. But can I tell the story? She wasn't really sure. She was looking for a church, but Andrea's been to Haiti, and so when she found out she was going, I was thrilled because it was one more experienced person going with us. But while she was in Haiti, she said that Andrea has a call on her life, and so she and I were able to talk about how God is moving that call and how God is going to be shaping and working on her life to get her in that sweet spot of God's will. But while in Haiti, the team just loved on her and worked on her, and she said, I think I found a church home. And so we're thrilled to have Andrea as part of our heart.
Oh, geez. Now, I'm going to get emotional. As Jan said, we met, excuse me, there's something going on here, and I think it's the Haiti dust still congregating in my head here. As Jan said, we met Wendy and Tom there at the guest house, and it was such a blessing to be able to talk to them and use them as a resource and have them guide us a little bit. And so they told us about this village of Fursey, and we started traveling on Wednesday morning out to Fursey. And we kept traveling, and we kept going up hills, higher and higher and higher and higher. And we actually traveled into this mountainous region. That's the only way I can describe it. It was absolutely breathtaking. You could see the hills as far as you could look. And we got to this small mud path, I would say. It's probably the width of a car, that if a car could make it up and down. And there was a group of Haitians from Fursey that met us up there. They unloaded our truck, all of the bags, the school kits, the dresses that we took from Williamsport, the candy, everything, and they carried it down over the hill for us. And they're a lot faster at making it down that hill than we are.
Amen.
So as we made the first turn and saw the rest of the road, I said, oh my, we have to come back up this way? So as we hiked down in, basically we hiked down the side of a mountain, down into the village of Fursey. And there was a house right there along the road, but as we're going in, there on the mountainside is where they have to do their farming, because there's very few flat areas. It's mostly hillsides. And they had built their crops into levels off the sides of the mountain, in little tiers, I should say. And unfortunately in Haiti, they're bringing in an agronomist to help them to not have their crops wash away as much. They're going to try to teach them how to plant better and how to treat the soil and things so it doesn't wash away, because when it does rain, it downpours there. And a lot of times, like with the hurricane, things like that, crops get washed away. And that's all they have. Fortunately, in that community, they pull together and they help one another. If one farmer loses most of his crops, they will share and help with one another and love one another. But it is a problem for them, and it happens too often. In this village, they're not living in the Taj Mahal like we were staying. They're living in small shacks. They're oftentimes, there's some brick. Some of them haul in bricks, but it takes years and years for them to earn enough money and to get them all hauled in to build their homes. A lot of times it's just scrap wood, sheet metal, and tents and tarps. That's what they're living in. And they're small. I think the lady that you guys visited, did she have 3 rooms?
Lady Jocelyn had 2 rooms and just 2 rooms and a little back closet. And there were, Brian, 8 people who lived there. She had a little makeshift bed. This was a woman that might have been in her 60s, and she slept with 2 other people.
And that happens a lot. One of the ladies that was working at the guest house in the kitchen with us, she lives in Port-au-Prince, but she lives in a very small, she basically rents a small space in an urban setting, as opposed to the rural setting where we were in Fursey. But I think they said there were a total of, close to 16 people living in this small 1 to 2 bedroom or 1 to 2 room home. And, that happens often. There's a lot of people in a small amount of space. I find myself complaining, oh, we need more space. My kitchen is too small. There's not enough counter space. But when you get to Haiti and see these people functioning daily in just 2 rooms with 8 people and dirt floors. It's pretty incredible to see. We got there and we unloaded everything, and they wanted to meet us. So we introduced ourselves to the people of Fercy. We had 2 translators with us, and Wendy did go with us. They were very excited to meet us. They were very happy to have us there, and they were so hospitable. There's a mission area there where the mission teams come and stay, and we were able to set up some of the dresses and things there to be able to give them out later. And then we handed out some soccer balls, 2 soccer balls, so that they could practice soccer before we all went up to play with them, which was pretty funny. Because I wanted to be like, you don't have to practice, you'll still beat us. But then we had the opportunity to go down and visit the school. Some of our group went down to visit the school that they had, but it was down over a large hill, and from what I understand, some people went down on their behinds because it was so steep. And then they came back up. It took them a while to get back up to us because the school was just that far away from the church and the main part of the village. And then the rest of us went up, and they gathered some of the children in the church. And what a blessing to be able to hear them singing and praising Jesus at the top of their lungs. It was just incredible to hear. So after we sang songs and carried on in there, then the entire group as a whole, it looked like a swarm of bees going up the mountainside. We passed the path that we came down off the mountain to get to the village, and we had to pass that to go up to a farmer's field to play soccer and games with them. So what to me felt like halfway across the world, we hiked over the mountain there and we were able to play soccer with them and get different games. I ended up sitting by a tree, and the Haitian folks are so gracious. I was just sitting down to rest because we hiked a long way. And before I knew it, I had a swarm of Haitian children around me. And they wanted me to keep taking pictures of them, and they just didn't want me to be there by myself. That's the way the Haitian people are. If they see you by yourself, they'll come over to you and sit down, so you're not alone, which is just incredible. That's not what happens in the United States. So after that, goodness gracious. After that, then we went back down to the church, and they gathered the children, and by that time, we went from about 50 kids to about 150 kids, just multiplied. Mm-hmm. And children and parents were in the church then, and we were singing, and we ended up giving out the school kits up there to as many as we had. I know there's more that will be going down, but we gave out what we had to those that we could. And then they started sending the young ladies down to the mission house where we had been, which is probably about 50 yards or 100 yards away from the church building. And we started fitting the little girls with pillowcase dresses. And we actually had enough that we were able to give some of the adult women, because they were larger king-size pillowcase dresses, and the Haitian women are smaller in stature and a lot shorter than me. So just to see their faces when, just handing them a simple but beautiful pillowcase dress, that just completely, you could tell that they really, truly appreciated it, It was incredible. And some of our group got swarmed. They had a bag of lollipops, and they got swarmed, and they really enjoyed the treats that we took to them. So it was a very good experience. And then some of our group broke off and went down to visit Madame Jocelyn, while the rest of us hoofed it up the mountain. So,
thank you, Andrew. Madame Jocelyn invited us into her home, which I'm not sure any of us would be comfortable doing that. 16 people come on into my little 2-room house. But it was an interesting visit because Bishop Park, when he was in Haiti, actually visited Madame Jocelyn's home. And so when we were getting ready to leave, I saw a bunch of baskets, and I asked what the baskets were, and this was her livelihood. And so I decided I just had to buy a basket. I didn't know how I was going to get it home, but I had to buy a basket. And so I asked her if she would sell me a basket, and she said yes. And I asked her how much it was, and she told me in Haiti money, and then our interpreter told me the conversion. And so I bought this basket, and it's the basket that communion is served in. And so that is, I'll wear it on my head someday when I practice, because that's what it's made for. But it didn't work. I was cockeyed and lopsided. But that basket, she is getting less than $1. And that is what she's hoping for to survive. And so each day, Haitian people get up, and their goal is to make enough money that they might feed their family for a day. They're not thinking about their IRAs. They're not thinking about retirement plans. They're not thinking about any of the things that we think about. They are thinking about, how do I survive this day? And in surviving the day, they have absolute trust in Jesus Christ, in knowing that God loves them and God will provide for them. The faith is astounding, and affected our lives incredibly. So Aaron and Brian, I'm going to defer. Brian has a water filtration system that we were able to, if you can come up and show them that. And while he's doing that, Aaron, can you add your effects? I know we're going to go over, but this is important stuff.
Yeah, so since we had so much downtime because we worked so fast, we had some time to spend in the retreat center and meet other teams that came in and out of Haiti. So some teams came back, some teams came in, and one of the guys there, his name was Bob. He came with 4 people from Texas, and all they really do is now is send out these Sawyer water kits. I don't know if you want to pass it around. But basically, he came after the earthquake, and they were building schools, and they were doing all these reconstruction projects and spending all this money on infrastructure, which is great. But he saw so many people sick with, dysentery or cholera or all the different viruses or bacteria you can get. And so he said, well, how do we make their simple lives better? If you're walking 2 miles to get a bucket of dirty water, how do you make it better? And so he found these kits and worked with Sawyer, and you basically take a 5-gallon bucket and you put a hole in it and you screw this filter into it, and you dump the dirty water in the top and clean water comes out the bottom. And so his focus is now to work with other churches to gather $50 for one of those kits to take it out, and it serves about a family of 5. So each one of those houses would have one of those water filters. And so he thinks, I want to say, he puts them in families of 5, but they usually serve about 20 people. So each kit has that much impact, and so he's put out over 2,000 of these kits, I want to say in the last couple years. And he was hoping to put 200 out while he was there, and he basically just goes to raise the money and gets teams to just go out and then check and educate the Haitians, because it's not just here's a 5-gallon bucket with some plastic. It's educating them that the water they're drinking from the streams or their wells might be filled with bacteria, and why the water is what's making them sick, and why they need to pay attention to all that. So our basic education, we get up in the morning, you turn on the faucet, you brush your teeth, you don't have to worry about 6 hours later being on the toilet if you happen to have a toilet. There, they don't even know that there's stuff in the water that makes them sick. So their education level doesn't even understand, what we learn in elementary school. So that was kind of like a really big practical thing, and then it gets them into villages and gives them work with the Haitians, because then they can be educated to go from village to village to village checking these kits, and so it gives them income and a job and to work with their own communities too. So that was one of the neat side projects of not being on a roof breaking concrete, because we finished that. You could actually talk with the other groups and see what missions they were doing that are simple and might be easy to get into.
Whatever you want.
Pastor Janet said that the goal for a lot of Haitians was to earn enough money that day to be able to feed their family. And we had a briefing from the guest house manager that like the Haitian minimum wage, I think, is like $3.50 a day, but the unemployment rate down there is well over 70%. There's a very few people that are in the top 1% that make enough money to do whatever they want, but the good majority of the people, they are trying to eat, just sell something to feed their family. the issue with the trash, I mean, once we got down there, and I was able to kind of look past all that and see the actual people. And then throughout the week, we had devotions in the morning and the afternoon, and we kept discussing what it is that makes these Haitian people so unique. Because you can see on their face, regardless of whatever they're doing, whether it's rounding up scrap metal to make something interesting to sell to a tourist or whatever it is, that there's a sense of pride. And I don't know if I told anybody else in the group, but I did tell my wife that, I mean, we could have a wall-sized chalkboard and just fill it up with adjectives of what makes these Haitian people so. I mean, and I think in the center of that chalkboard you could almost write joy, because regardless of their situation, they are happy. They greet everybody with a smile. They are willing to even give when they don't have anything. It's kind of astounding to, and I'm still taken aback by that they have so little, but they are so accommodating, and they're willing to let you into their home and give what they have to you. And that's kind of one of the big things I took away from this trip.
Thank you, Aaron. So, folks, we celebrated communion as we're celebrating communion this morning, except that I'd like you to use your imagination, because in Haiti, this bread is really a delicacy. I forgot I wanted to bring over one of my mud pies, because in Haiti, in the remote villages, they take mud and they mix it with some oil and they bake them. And they're 3 for a dime. And children eat these mud cookies because when they put them in their tummies, it makes their tummy full. And that's how they get by. Haitians don't eat meat in the remote villages. It's beans and rice, and it's not daily. It's an average of maybe twice a week, 3 times a week at the most, that they get to eat. And so as I break bread, reminding us that Jesus did the same thing, and in Jesus' day, bread was also precious. It was life. And so can you imagine for a Haitian to be able to say, this is the bread of life? Jesus says, this is my life, and I freely give it up. I give up everything I have so that we could have life eternal. And then Jesus reminds us, do this in remembrance of me. Be Christ followers, share the light, but know that when you eat this bread, it is precious eternally. And then Jesus took the cup, and my, oh my, water is precious. We could not drink the water, and so we appreciate it, the preciousness of water. When we were out in the village, we were very thirsty, tough, because we didn't dare drink the water. And Haitians will walk for miles and miles and miles to get their water each day, dirty water that will make them sick. And so Jesus lifted the cup, and he thanked God for everything with joy. And then he said to his disciples, when you drink of this will not make you sick. This will give you life, for this is the new covenant. It's the forgiveness of sins. And to every Haitian that follows Jesus does so with such passion and with such joy. Although they have nothing, they are rich in spirit. And although we have everything, how poor we are in spirit. And so as you come, I would ask that you come with the imagination of a Haitian. Come knowing that this is a place that is willing to feed you, that we have a God who is willing to feed us with food that will not run out. Come and be thankful.